Hello everyone and welcome to the Women Racing to Win. Joe Samniego here and Daniel is from the Racers, the girls behind the helmet, joining us in a few seconds. We have a lot to talk about. We're definitely going to start with what happened in Monza, the Temple of Speed, this past weekend. Daniel, take it from here.
Hi everyone, hello Joe. As you said, there was a big race in Monza last weekend. It was Ferrari Challenge Europe, the season opener in the Monza, the Temple of Speed, and I was there following Michelle Gatting having a first full season race into that championship. She's racing there with Iron Lynx, racing under the banner of Iron Dames, which is the fully female team that is now expanding their program in many important championships in GT and endurance series. They're racing in the Ferrari Challenge with Michelle Gatting. They're racing in the WEC with Catherine Legg, Manuela Gosner, and Rahel Fry. And they're also racing again into the European Le Mans Series. It will be their third season in the ELMS, again confirming their lineup from the previous two seasons with Rahel Fry, Michelle Gatting, and Manuela Gosner. And they're also expanding to the Michelin Le Mans Cup, where Dorian Pin will race with Sarah Bovey. But let's go back to last weekend in Monza, where I was there following Michelle. Michelle had already had two previous race weekends in the Ferrari Challenge in Europe in 2020. She was racing in Imola, where she was second at her debut, and also she raced in Misano, where she won the race. So and also claimed at the podium and two pole positions. So definitely one to watch. Michelle this year in the Ferrari Challenge Europe. She's racing in the Pirelli Cup, Pirelli Trofeo, sorry, which is let's say the pro category, which is also there's also the Shell Trophy, which is for slightly inexperienced racers, the AM classes. But Michelle, with her experience in pro championships, is very much at the top end of the Pirelli Trofeo. We were there from Friday, from the testing, and she was a little bit uncertain about something in her car with braking issues. But then, as the day progressed, of course, nothing major. But as the day progressed, she improved and she fixed these problems, and she was a lot more happy with the car coming into Saturday when the first pre-practice session on Saturday morning. Then she went where she was second. Then she entered the qualifying and she was third. There was a rookie driver, Finnish racer, 17-year-old Luca Nurmi, also entering the series, and he was really impressive, I have to say. He claimed pole position and was P1 also on practice. Almost 1 second clear of the competition in practice. Then of course the gaps were a little bit closer into qualifying. The driver from Finland took pole position. Michelle was third. She wasn't very happy with qualifying, I have to say. She was pretty disappointed by her result in qualifying, even though she started from the second row of the grid for the first race of the season coming into Saturday afternoon. The weather was okay. It was overcast, not rainy as the weather forecast had previously said. And Michelle, it was a little bit of a hectic race coming to the first the first few laps. Poulsen took out the leader into coming to the first chicane, which is always very tricky in Monza, as we always say. We always see races, coming to some crashes into the first chicane at Monza, and Michelle got a little bit stuck into the traffic. She went down to she actually remained P3, even though Luca Nurmi was out of the race, and also Poulsen into the first corner. But then Michelle had a really impressive race. She kept it very cool and always had pressure onto her competitors in front. and she managed to overtake the P1 and P2. They brought them. I would say that they pushed them a little bit into mistakes. This is also, I think, a little bit due to her experience in very important championships, because she's fast, but most importantly, she doesn't make mistakes. She's very clean and always, without mistakes, she could really take the pressures onto the others and push them into small mistakes. And she was great into taking straight away the positions and fighting into the lead. She remained into P1 and won brilliantly the first race of the season. And we have the audio files from audio recording from Michelle coming into the first victory of the season.
Yeah, so I mean, today we had the race one. I started P3. The quali was a little bit disappointing, but I had a very controlled race. There was a little bit of crashes going on at the start. I kept very cool the whole race, and when the chance was there, I took it. I went for P1, and then I kept P1 until the end of the race. So the car was very nice. The team did a great job. So looking forward to tomorrow.
Was Michelle Gatting after her first race of the season in the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Europe of 2021. Coming into Sunday, we found very different weather conditions on the Monza racetrack. It was raining pretty heavily on Sunday morning. The second qualifying was then a very wet one, and Michelle Gatting at the beginning of the season she was struggling a little bit to find pace, but then she had a massive last lap, and she was second again behind Luca Nurmi, who again took pole position. Michelle was second by 0.3 of a second, so pretty good lap for Michelle, and started thus on the first row of the grid for the second race of the season, and the second, of course, of the Monza weekend. Coming into the race, it was a little bit of a chaotic race, because there was a red flag early on for a huge accident coming into Parabolica, as a driver came into the heavy braking at Parabolica with no brakes, and he hit another driver in front of him, and they went straight into the barriers at very high speed. There was luckily the drivers were unhurt, but the cars were in a pretty bad shape, I would say, and also the track required quite a lot of time for barrier repairs. So the race was stopped for over 40 minutes, and we had to wait into the pit lane for the race to restart. At that time, the track was no more. There was no more rain. The track was a little bit damp still. Everyone was on on slick tires at that point, and there were no further issues with rain. When the race restarted, there was some other contacts, so another safety car again pretty soon after the race start. Michelle was down to third at that point, but managed to in the few minutes that remained into the 30-minute race, she managed to again overtake the driver in front and went back into second place. At the end of the race, she was, I would say, faster than anyone on track, and did try to recover compared to Nurmi in first place, but there was not enough time, and she crossed the line in second place, 3 seconds behind Nurmi. Definitely a great weekend, starting weekend for Michelle Gatting, with a P1 and a P2 into her first racing as a full-time driver in Ferrari Challenge. Definitely going to be interesting to follow her, because as we've seen, she's definitely going to be one of the title contenders coming into the rest of the season. Then she flew straight to Barcelona, because this coming weekend, they will be racing in Barcelona for the European Le Mans Series. So we didn't have much time to record an interview after her second race, but we did have the chance to speak with her after the second podium of the weekend. Here's her words.
Yeah, so I mean the race was so-so. I thought I had a good start, but then I think we were missing a little bit of power going straight. So I lost 2 positions already in the start. Then we had the red flag. There was the big crash, and we started again. And then quickly after there was the safety car. So the race was a bit of a mess. It was difficult conditions, but in the end it was a good race. We got good points for the championship. Of course, I wanted to win, but that must be the next one.
So that was it from Monza, from the first race event of the Ferrari Challenge Europe 2021 season. There was also Fabian Wohlwend, the driver from Liechtenstein, also racing in W Series, who was scheduled to take part into the championship. She's a Ferrari veteran, and she's also racing into the series since 2017. Unfortunately, as we reported last week, she was not in Monza for the season opener of 2021 due to financial issues of her team, Octane 126. Of course, due to the coronavirus pandemic, they had some troubles with sponsors and with backing. They will also not be at the second round at Red Bull Ring, but hopefully they will find some more backing, and they will be back for the rest of the season. But now Fabian, together with Octane 126, will be focusing on the NLS, the formerly known as VLN at the Nürburgring. And yeah, so it was kind of unlucky not be able to see Fabian on track in Monza, but hopefully we will get the chance to meet her later on in the season.
Thank you, Daniel. Another driver that's going to be looking to making a big splash in a couple of weekends, Jennifer Jo Cobb. She is making her NASCAR Cup Series debut at Talladega Superspeedway. The Speedway is notorious for the big one. For those that are not familiar with NASCAR and especially Superspeedway racing, the tight packs of cars racing inches apart, utilizing the slipstream draft, trying to get that fastest lap, it's really a fascinating sight. But it just takes one mistake from one driver, especially up towards the front, to lose control, make contact with another driver. Next thing you know, you have vehicles of upward to 10, 20, sometimes even 25, maybe even 30 vehicles wrecked in one single accident. It is a very treacherous track, one of the most dangerous of super speedway racing is some of the most dangerous speeds that we see in NASCAR. Last few years we've seen cars get airborne as well. Thankfully nobody has gotten hurt, but even this last Daytona 500 there was some critical about the safety in NASCAR and the super speedways. Jennifer Jo Cobb, if she makes her debut at Talladega, be the first female driver since Danica Patrick to race at Talladega and of course in the Cup Series. It's been a little bit of a while. Definitely the best of luck to Jennifer Jo Cobb as she proceeds forward with her NASCAR Cup Series debut. IndyCar, Indianapolis 500. Last year, unfortunately, there was no female racers in the race. This year, Beth Paretta, female owner, going to have a female driver. Simona Del Silvestro racing in the race. Of course, they have to qualify to get in, but already things are looking really good. Thursday, in the rain-shortened driver refresher, Simona Del Silvestro got up to 218.927 miles per hour. Definitely a very strong debut for the new team. Of course, the new team being supplied by Penske equipment. Big time, huge jump in performance for Simona Del Silvestro to have such good equipment. Definitely was very exciting for her, feeling the power and essentially the fast speed of that race car at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is really unique for her. This is the first time she's racing an IndyCar since the implementation of the Aeroscreen. The Aeroscreen, of course, the new safety device that debuted last year. In a way similar to a Hans device. Not a Hans device, the Halo device. Very similar to the Halo device, but this time it has a Aeroscreen around it, a windshield, to protect drivers from all debris. And of course, with this safety advancement, we've seen other drivers warm up to the idea of racing Indy cars. Definitely for Paretta Autosport, looks like it's a good start to the Indianapolis 500 effort. For those not familiar with the Indianapolis 500, there is no guaranteed starting position, unlike NASCAR where the top 36 team owners that own a charter are locked in every race, or in Formula One, where you know which 21 cars, 22 cars are going to be in the race. In IndyCar, the 33 drivers, the 33 starters, none of them are guaranteed a spot. Essentially, you have to be the fastest 33 drivers in qualifying to get in. No provisionals, no guaranteed spots. So for Simona de Silvestro and Pareto Osborne, they have to get faster and faster to ensure they start in the greatest spectacle of all sports, the Indianapolis 500.
Coming weekend, there's going to be a lot more racing going on compared to last week, where literally the only race that we followed was Ferrari Challenge. There will be more championships starting, starting of course from the European Le Mans Series that we already mentioned, with Iron Dames going back on track. As we mentioned before, there has been some shuffles going on into the lineups of this team. And Sarah Bovi was literally just announced today to be joining the team in the Le Mans Cup, together with a young 17-year-old French driver Dorian Pin. Pin, we remind you that was among the 4 finalists of the FIA Girls on Track Rising Star program, among the drivers that went to the Ferrari headquarters for the final part of that program. And luckily she found a seat, and she will be having her debut this weekend in Barcelona for the Le Mans Cup, together with Sarah Bovi, who was racing in W Series in 2019. She was initially scheduled to be among the reserve drivers, but had her debut in Zolder, in her home track in Zolder, where actually she could not take the start because of a technical problem on the starting grid. So actually her real race debut was in Misano, where she finished the P12, and then she also had the chance to race in Assen in the non-championship race, and also in the season finale in Brands Hatch. Since then she had quite a slow 2020, but we're very, very happy to see Sarah back on track in GT cars. She's pretty experienced GT racer. She's also a performance instructor for Lamborghini. She had quite a lot of experience in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and also did quite a lot of 24-hour in Spa, in her home circuit. And so we'll be having a close look at Sarah Bovi and Dorian Pin in the Le Mans Cup, but of course also in the main event in Barcelona, European Le Mans Series, with again Manuela Gosner, Michelle Gatting going back on track after just 1 week after her impressive victory in Monza, and of course Rahel Fry, who will also be racing in the WEC later on in the season with the same team. Also starting will be Formula Regional European Championship, that from this season will be Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. Quite a long name, but the series is pretty much the same as last year. They merged with the Formula Renault Euro Cup, so definitely a big series. There are over 30 cars to watch this season. That's going to be impressive. A very, very long entry list. Lena Buller, the Swiss driver that was racing last year in the Spanish Formula 4 Championship, was set to make her debut in Formula 3 this weekend in Imola. Of course, Formula Regional is racing with Imola together with Formula 1 as a support series of Formula 1. But Lena had a hand fracture in Imola in the pre-season testing, and unluckily she will not be racing this weekend. But there will be Belen Garcia. She joined G4 Racing in Formula Regional. She will have a partial campaign in Regional because of course she's preparing her W Series campaign. She will be making her W Series debut later on at the French Grand Prix. We will not be in Imola, unfortunately, because with Formula 1 there's still more troubles for media accreditations. There's currently no accreditation for the support series of Formula One. So unlikely we will be stuck here watching the Formula Regional races from our TV screens. But definitely looking forward to join the championship on track as soon as we are allowed back in I think it will be in Paul Ricard. And hopefully with Lena Buller also on track. And so this is going to be, I would say, the two top racing series. But speaking of endurance, there's also going to be the formerly known VLN, the Nürburgring Landstrecke Series, also called the Nürburgring Endurance Championship. Which is racing on the mighty Nürburgring Nordschleife. There's a huge female entry list there. We will have drivers, very important drivers of the likes of Christina Nielsen, Pippa Mann, who will race together with the GT Tire Girls Only team. That also lines up a car for Kerry Schreiner and Celia Martin. So definitely an important team to follow here. There will also be a driver, an important driver that was back on track in IndyCar in last week. That is Simona De Silvestro, that will join the field in a Porsche GT4. Quite a surprise appearance for De Silvestro at the NLS. Definitely looking forward to see her on track. And then Janine Schaffner and many other drivers racing there. There will not be Laura Kreinhammer, as soon as we understand. She is in Monza, but not racing, as far as we understand. There will also be more drivers in the TCR category, like Michelle Halder. We reported races from Michelle last year when she raced in TCR Europe. She is lining up a car together with her brother Mike, who also raced in TCR Europe with Michelle. There will also be another driver that we have seen in TCR Europe, that is Jessica Bachmann. She is also racing together with her brother Andreas in the NLS this weekend in Nürburgring, and many others that we are definitely going to be following. And then, of course, the NASCAR track series that is back on track with Heli Deegan and, of course, also Jennifer Jo Cobb, that, as you previously reported, will make her debut in the Cup series later on in the season. So this is going to be our main commitments for this weekend. This series that we'll be following and reporting for you on this program next week.
That will conclude this week's episode of the Women Racing to Win. We thank you for tuning in. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe right here on YouTube. Don't miss any of our programs, including Great Live Pre-Race. That is tomorrow, Saturday, noon Eastern, live streaming on the air. Myself, Kobe, Matt, we're all going to be there talking about Formula One, MotoGP, Australian Supercars, and of course the NASCAR Cup Series at Richmond. For Daniel at Racers, the girls behind the helmet, I'm Joe Samniego. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.